Okay, just bear with me on this one. Jelly Baby, he kicks it long. It's going dead. It's going out. Aldrid's there. Everything looks okay, but Pinot. Look at Pinot. Chasing, chasing, chasing. Scores. Rappy. Oh my goodness, what a doozy this year's flu is, eh? Even worse is that I had to nightingale it because my entire household was sick, except for me. The worst though is that I had to miss 2 weeks of rugby updates. Miskusi. Luckily, everyone is healthy now and we can get back to the game we love. And what has happened to the game I love? While I was away, World Rugby released the patch notes for the latest version of rugby and everybody lost their minds. As with any live service game, the developers in charge can never seem to keep the community happy. Every change made to try and redress some of the balance issues is seen as a targeted attack on certain groups within the community. Every new law or law change is met with cries of how the game was better 5 updates ago, even though a lot of the same people were losing their shit back then as well. It is a thankless job, but a bunch of backline players, 2 flankers, a physio and a dude took up the challenge to try and save rugby? So let's have a look at what they came up with. The opening blurb contains all the usual sanitized copy about growing the game, stakeholders and their engagements, and of course player safety. A corporate memo immediately self-destructs if it does not mention safety. Something about a phased action plan, not clicking that link, and then finally the law changes from 1 July 2024. As with every law change in the history of the game, the goal is to increase attacking play and to improve player safety. This patch focuses on 3 main law changes with those goals in mind. Change number 1. Law 10.7 will be rewritten. If a player catches a kick from the opposition in open play, they will no longer put their opponents onside by passing the ball or running for 5 meters themselves. This change in the law is there to directly combat the recent exploit where teams would kick the ball at each other 10 to 20 times in a row, turning games into tennis matches. The culture seems to be happy with this one, and it's already been implemented in Super Rugby Pacific, I think, so all good there. Patch note number 2 is that the crocodile roll is going to be outlawed, which is weird because me and a whole lot of other commenters thought it was illegal already. It's very dangerous for opposing players' knee, and we are all probably glad that it's gone. Yay. Okay, now, number 3. Up there with paid mods for Skyrim and the NGE update for Star Wars Galaxies, it seems to have angered as many people as Sony did when they asked for PSN accounts on all HD2 profiles. All of that makes sense. And the change? Teams can no longer ask for a scrum when they are awarded a free kick. Okay, so this update immediately sent people into tirades about World Rugby trying to nerf the box's incredible scrum power, and it sent rugby nerds into theory crafting frenzies to find possible exploits in the new code. Never again will we see a team with a dominant scrum calling for one off a mark. It was a great way to tie up defenders, tire out a big pack, and just an incredible flex. Much too cool for the hooligans game. The biggest problem I see with it is that it creates yet another area for the dreaded referee's interpretation. There are 9 different ways to concede free kicks at a scrum. A team with a set piece on roller skates might decide to pull one of those 9 levers to avoid a penalty, and then leave it up to the ref to decide if they are gaming the system or not. This is a great possible escape route for the weaker scrum, but it is not very good for the whole referee abuse issue. You don't want to add more law interpretation into the game. You want to take it out. And what of the poor, unfortunate quadruple world champions? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. For now, I still think that they'll be able to win games with a monster pack and a good scrum. I do not want to be the team that relies on a weaker scrum that milks free kicks. Again, that leaves way too much to the ref's interpretation. All in all, it probably won't have a huge effect on dry weather matches, but you can be sure I'll be watching some wet weather games very closely. It's there that most free kicks are turned into scrums anyways. There are a few other planned patches and updates, including some changes to the sanctions directly after red cards. But those are all still in beta environments, so I'm not going to get my pitchfork sharp just yet. Goodness me, that was a mouthful. How about some bloody rugby results? Let's have a quick Quick look-see at the URC. On Friday, the Stormers travelled to Elysium to play the Dragons. It was a tight affair up to the dreaded 60-minute mark, after which the Stormers boosted their home playoff hopes with a 21-44 win. Edinburgh hosted Zebre in the other Friday night fight. Their hopes for a playoff spot were boosted with a massive 40-14 victory over the suffering Italians. Saturday started with two playoff hopefuls, the Bulls and the Warriors, taking each other on in Pretoria. As is the Bulls' way, they racked up a giant lead before letting much of it slip right before the end. They held on, but it was Glasgow who boosted their hopes of a home playoff with 2 bonus points from the close loss. Ulster, remember them? I hardly ever do, which is a me problem. They hosted the poorly disciplined Scarlets and hoped their playoff boosts after an okay 31-20 win. The most infuriating game of the weekend took place in Durban when the Sharks hosted Benetton. It all seemed to be going so well until Benetton decided to hope their boosted playoffs with a late victory against the basically treasonous Sharks, 24-25. Munster are fully into their late season juggernaut phase now and easily swept aside Connacht. 47 points to 12, enough to boost their home playoff hopes a lot. The second last game of the weekend was between the Forsaken Lions and Cardiff in Joburg. It was a scrappy affair until Emmanuel Tutuka came on and kept the Lions' hope of playoff boosting alive with a tidy 34-13 win. And last but not least, Leinster rolled out a lot of the big guns for the Ospreys at the RDS. It went as one would expect. Playoffs, hopes, boosted, dashed, kept alive, 64-14. Elsewhere in the world, it looks like the Crusaders might only be one loss away from losing their iron grip on Southern Hemisphere club rugby. I have a bottle of champagne, cold and ready for when that day comes. And with them playing the Brumbies this coming Saturday, I might be drunk at 8:30 in the morning. Otherwise, it looks like the Blues are favourite for the title this year. What a lovely change. In England, the Saints are still flying very high, but the Sarries are looking ominous. Toulouse are leading in France for now. The Baby All Blacks have won the first Under-20 Rugby Championship, and the Lady Boks have qualified for the World Cup after defending their African Championship. So much rugby, so little time. And we have fully run out of time for this week. So I will see you all next week so we can seriously discuss whether there's an inter-Stafford conspiracy to keep the Lions down after the Bulls and Sharks lose yet more home games. Bye.